Yes, boys, what is the story? Welcome back to Game Week 17 preview in the FPL Draft Mode. It is myself, Nolezy. Thank you so much for tuning in. This could be the last video before Christmas. Now, hopefully it won't be. Next week, we have a Thursday deadline, which means a waiver deadline of Wednesday. I'm heading over to Manchester United versus Bournemouth at the weekend, so hopefully I will get a video out. Now, if I don't, I'll get a Q&A video out. So unless things go pear-shaped altogether, we might have another video out. But if not, I just want to say thanks to everyone so much this Christmas for tuning in throughout the whole year or so far this season. Whatever stage you joined at, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. If you could give us a Christmas present, hitting that subscribe button would be unbelievable. If not, a like is super. But yeah, thank you so much for all the support on all platforms this year. Another little Christmas present could be joining the T12. So maybe some of you know about the T12, maybe you don't. It is something myself and Jacksies came up with at the start of last season. So we'll be coming into our 4th season in it. We do 2 half seasons, and what it is 12 leagues of 12 managers in the draft. It starts with the Premier League, 6 leagues in the Premier League from 1 to 6 with 12 managers in each, and then you have the Championship, the same in that 6 leagues with 12 managers each. It's based on promotion and relegation. So for instance, I'm in Premier League, League 1, I'll be getting relegated down to Premier League, League 3 this year because of where I am finishing up, or hopefully I'll be relegated to League 3 and not League 4. Now, what's interesting about the T12 is that if you win any of your leagues, you're going to get up to the top league. So, for example, if you're in League 4 of the Championship and you end up winning that, you're promoted to League 1. It can seem complicated verbally. So we actually have a video I made last year on this. I'll also put a picture up on Instagram, and maybe you can have a longer look at what happens if I finish here and so on and so forth. But again, it could be double or triple promotion or relegation. So what we want to do is get in a real competitive and progressive draft league with managers all over the world. I always find that in normal FPL, it's very easy to compare because there's a tangible thing, your overall rank. In the draft, it's not. So the T12 is designed to say, okay, I am this good at the draft, or I can progress up the leagues and get better at the draft. Really, really enjoyable. A lot of positive words back from people that are joining it or have joined it. So if you want to get involved, the link will be in the description of this YouTube video. If you're listening audio version of this, in the description of the YouTube video. First come, first serve. We only have a limited amount of spaces because I think 110 out of the 144 are signed up already. So get on it ASAP, Rocky. Your name, your number, just for the group chat in organizing draft nights and so on and so forth. Yeah, really good community, and hopefully we can see you there. Okay, enough of the housekeeping. Let's get into this week's draft. Very quickly looking at the best fixture run, again, FPL Consult and FPL Era. I'm just focusing on essentially the top 2 teams. The third team in this list is Southampton. I'm not concerned with Southampton unless they show me something different. Maybe an Armstrong. That's about it. So Chelsea are top. They have them 6 fixtures in a row. We talked in depth about Chelsea players last week, so not much has changed. Badiashile picked up a small injury, so maybe we have some more Chelsea players in this week's episode, but I still think that ranking in terms of the midfielders is similar. Madueke up the top, Sancho probably second, and maybe Neto very close to Sancho. Neto could get that start this weekend because he's back from suspension, so maybe he's slightly better in the short term, but I think, statistically we looked at it, Madueke is the kind of solid pick. In terms of defence, Cucurella red card, so there is a shout. Maybe Caldwell left back, maybe Viega in left back. I think Caldwell, the most solid pick, always going to start. Gusto looking like a solid pick there as well. He even could play left back as well. Toshin, we'll talk about him in today's episode. Jackson, top pick. Some questions about him. Enzo continues to be an unbelievable pick. And yeah, as I said, Madueke. Looking at the Fulham side, or the Fulham fixtures, and definitely a couple of Fulham boys in today's episode. They play Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Bournemouth at home, Ipswich at home, West Ham away, and Leicester away. So 3 very good home fixtures. West Ham and Leicester away, still very good fixtures, no matter if they're home or away. The rest, again, we have Man City up at the top. Liverpool up the top. If we're looking at Man City players and Liverpool players, sometimes fixtures are irrelevant and we just have to get them. Actually, I'm just thinking now, I did say last week that, Man City will get back to winning ways. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for them. Unfortunately for United. Again, I think one thing that I've remembered this week with another Mbuemo goal is best players, best teams. And we talked about that a good few weeks ago. And sometimes that is the best case. We are only looking at Chelsea and Fulham in terms of fixtures. Apart from that, I think we're sticking with the idea best players, best fixtures. And just a little recap on our Palace boys, because I think it's important to just highlight them once again. Some very good results last week, and as I said, they look a lot more solid. Unfortunately, not to keep a clean sheet, but really good options going forward. Obviously, top of that list is Sarr with that monster haul, and a lot of people are asking about him this week. Eze, again, getting good minutes, enough to kind of justify him to keep in your team, hopefully. And then some really good results in terms of defenders. Mitchell, absolute haul. Right, so Wharton could be back for game week 17. I don't see him playing too many minutes, even if he plays any minutes against Arsenal, because they could be ran around the place. So after that, again, we have him coming back into the side. Hughes and Decore have been doing really, really well for Palace. So yeah, they're really solid and should be over the next couple of games. Bournemouth, Southampton, and the likes of Leicester in there. Really good fixtures for Palace. We will highlight the likes of Sarr and kind of figure out where he is in them rankings of midfielders. Just to note, Munoz is suspended for game week 17, but a really, really good player going forward. So I wouldn't kind of jump the gun too much and get rid. Mitchell, a super, super signing. Lacroix, we might see Klein play at right back this weekend for Munoz. Chalobah, also a great pick, and I think it's worth investing in these boys as a low-level waiver, especially as the defenders. And then we'll, as I said, figure out where we rank Sarr in them midfielders. But yeah, Palace boys, nice run of fixtures that could bring you up to the end of January. Right, looking at some defenders here that we can pick up on the waiver. A couple of them might be taken. Let's have a look at 3 different categories of player. One as a top waiver as defender, one as a kind of safe pick, and one as a punt. As we can see here, we have Robinson as our top pick. Let's look at the stats for all these players. We're going to look at minutes per 90, how many did they play on average per game, expected goal involvements, goals, assists, and our clean sheets, our expected goals conceded per 90, and then the fixtures out of 30, as we always do. We're going to start off with our top pick, and that is Robinson. I think for the most part, he's going to be taken in most draft leagues, upwards of 90%. But if he is available, or if you could get a little trade for him, super pick. Now, Tete as an alternative could be a decent pick because he's yellow flagged, but as far as I'm aware, he will be okay for the weekend. Maybe if we get late news that he won't be okay, Castagne could be a 1 week punt against Southampton. But let's have a look at Robinson. 90-minute man, played every minute in the league so far this season. As far as I'm aware, I'm nearly sure of that. Has 2.4 expected goal involvements, but has really, really overperformed that. 0 goals, 6 assists, and 2 clean sheets. So 8 returns from Robinson this year. Really, really good over 16 game weeks. Only 1.27, which is not the worst expected goals conceded this year. As I said last week, Fulham are a lot better defensively. And then their fixtures are good. 14 out of 30. So again, if you haven't heard me describe it, 30 out of 30 would be the next 6 games, every team is ranked 5. I suppose that what we can look at is the minimum. 6 by 2 is 12. So the minimum, the easiest possible run of fixtures would be 12 out of 30. They have 14. So really good fixtures. Moving on to a safe pick, and a couple of questions in about him. I think Joe Gomez is a safe enough pick this week with Robertson suspended. Joe Gomez playing decent at left back. He could get the shout at left back. Kwanzaa could be the alternative to that, but I think Joe Gomez as left back will start this weekend. Now, it won't be a long-term one, and if we look at the minutes, it's only averaging around 60 minutes per 90 when he plays, and has a 0.4 XGI. Not many returns, only 1 clean sheet. Again, a lot of these could be sub appearances because he doesn't come on that often. He might get 30 minutes and not get the clean sheet. So yeah, only 1 clean sheet so far, but again, not preferred. And then 0.7 for expected goals conceded per 90. So when he has played, he's only expected less than 1 goal per 90. Really, really good stats when he's on the field. And then their fixtures are slightly harder, but again, Liverpool, probably better defence, 16 out of 30. So not as good as Fulham's fixtures, but obviously a better side. And then finally, Toshin, player I talked about earlier. Depending on Badiashile's injury, Toshin could be a nice little punt if somehow he nails down a position in that Chelsea side. I can't see it consistently, but again, maybe if he gets one more game, that might kind of be a domino effect for a couple of more starts. Again, 60 minutes per 90, a lot of substitute appearance, and then a couple of 90 minutes. 0.35 XGI, so again, not massive on the XGI. Again, Gusto is going to be a better pick. Even Cucurella with a red card is going to be a better pick long term. Very similar to Joe Gomez, only one clean sheet kept so far. Chelsea haven't been amazing at the back, and their stats kind of line up with that. On average, they're going to concede 1 goal when Toshin plays. I think that could even be slightly higher in general. And then finally, they have 12 out of 30, the easiest possible fixture run. So I think that's why some people might look towards Toshin. Note he will not be nailed, so he could be a nice little punt as starting off this week and then maybe get some other starts in there. But again, Robinson our top pick. Gomez this week I think is a safe pick, and then Toshin as a potential punt over the next 6 game weeks. Right, looking at some midfielders now using the same parameters, essentially a top pick, safe pick, and maybe a punt, someone that's going under the radar. Same parameters, minutes per 90, expected goal involvements, goals and assists, points per start, and then fixtures. So starting off with our top pick, solid as a rock. I suppose he could really be a safe pick, but I really do think for a draft manager, he's kind of everything you want. Kulusevski, always undervalued, but 4 goals, 3 assists this year from a 4.5 XGI, 77 minutes, essentially nailed. You'd be surprised to not see him starting. He can play slightly deeper, he can play slightly wider. Fixtures decent, 17 out of 30, but for Spurs, them fixtures, it could be the worst fixture on paper, but Kulusevski could still bang. Spurs will just not lie down. So Kulusevski may be a trade option as a really, really good under the radar pick, solid as a rock for the rest of the season. Boom, what more do you want? A safe pick, and I know it mightn't be seem that safe, but Sarr. I think Sarr has played himself into Palace's side. Started the last 8 games in a row. He averages 57 minutes, but that's because he had a lot of cameo appearances at the start of the season. I really like Sarr. I actually picked up Sarr last week and then wavered him out on the free agent for Jota. 4.4 expected goal involvements, 3 goals, 2 assists, and again, that's with not half as much time as Kulusevski. So really good pick. 18 out of 30 on the fixture scale, the FPL Draft fixture scale. But as we looked at Palace earlier, they do have a nice run of fixtures there, looking a bit more solid, and Sarr looking really, really good. So I think that's a really good pick. Under the radar / punt is Emile Smith-Rowe, and he's going down in a lot of people's evaluation, and maybe so, but he has only failed to start 2 games, the last one being one of them. I know he got less than 60 minutes the week before that, but the whole season he's been averaging 69 minutes. I find it hard to believe that he doesn't consistently start in that Fulham side. Yeah, he might go through poor spells, and Andres Pereira might get a nod over him. Wobie's playing well, but I do expect him to come back into it. Maybe not immediately, but I think it's a very good punt. I think with Fulham's good fixtures, they have a nice one this week, tough one in Chelsea, but then they have some nice fixtures. If you can get a Smith Rowe for them 3 or 4 fixtures in a row, I think you will be happy, and I think his value will only increase throughout the season. I think it's at a relatively low point in the season. Looking at his stats, 3.5 expected goal involvement, decent, with 3 goals and 2 assists, same as Sarr, but I know, again, Smith Rowe has played a lot more minutes. 4.21 points per start over a decent chunk. Okay, so compared to Kulusevski's 4.5, Sarr's 4.89 with a smaller cohort of data to look at. Emile Smith-Rowe is still very good over the course of the season, and then their fixtures, 14 out of 30. So essentially just above a very, very easy run. Fulham looking very solid. If he gets back into that team, I think he can be a very good under the radar pick for after Christmas. And then finally, 3 punts, or maybe 3 people to keep our eye on in random positions: Trippier, Bellegarde, and Hutchinson. And I'll explain why. Maybe Trippier not so much if he starts the EFL Cup tonight. I'm recording this at 6 o'clock, so teams won't be out. If he does start, I can't see him starting 2 games in a row. He's only averaged 42 minutes per game this year. He's only started, I think, 3 or 4 games and then some cameo appearances. He has been very injury prone. He's getting on. I think if there was an EFL Cup, he's probably in line for a start at the weekend. If he doesn't start, maybe he's a good 1 week punt. His stats are very poor: 0.27 expecting goal involvements, no goals, no assists. Now, when he's been on the pitch, Newcastle's expected goal conceded have been good, 0.83. So very, very good. But again, that's a very, very small um, cohort of data. But the fixture is Ipswich away. So if he does somehow get the start, we think he's going to start. It is a decent 1 week pickup. Trippier always looks a bit, glossier than he actually is. We kind of always remind ourselves of the previous years. It's not going to go back up to that, especially with Livramento playing as well as he is. But maybe a 1 week punt. Bellegarde, new manager. He has been starting I think it's the last 9 games in a row, and or is that 9 games this year? But he has had a very good run of fixtures over the last while in terms of starting. I think he is probably the most likely to start in that number 10, especially with Cunha probably banned. We'll talk more about that in the listener questions. Guedes could also be an under the radar shout, but I think Bellegarde, just because he's been playing recently, is probably more likely. Again, his stats aren't amazing, but a decent fixture in Leicester away. 1.36 expected goal involvements with 1 goal, 2 assists this year. I always really like the look of this dude, but producing that in FPL points, big difference. But if you're looking for a 1 week punt, Bellegarde could be the man. And then Hutchinson, again, we'll talk about why he could be a punt in the striker section. But let's look at his stats: 88 minutes per 90, 15 starts this season, 2.5 XGI, 1 goal and 1 assist. They play Newcastle away. Again, not the most amazing fixture with the form Newcastle are in, but let's talk about why he could be a very good pick in the striker section. Finally, looking at some strikers, 3 very punty strikers here. We'll talk about other strikers and where we rank them, like Fulkrug, Duran, in the waiver section or in the listener question section. I rank all of those higher than these 3. These are if you want maybe a 1 week punt or real low possibility of them getting in consistently. Start off with Muniz. Muniz has got 4 starts this year, 3 of them at the start of the season and 1 of them recently. Has been doing okay when he's come on. But Raul Jimenez is definitely still first choice for Fulham. 2 goal involvements. Only plays 32 minutes on average. So again, a lot of cameo appearances as a sub. Maybe that's a route you want to go down. 2 goals, 1 assist. His expected starts, I think I've been slightly generous and said that he might get 2 expected starts over the next while. Yeah, there's a possibility of him getting back in there full time. I think we know his quality and his the possibility of him getting in full time. So 100%, don't doubt him. But I think there's always going to be challenging there from Raul Jimenez. So yeah, a low level 1, but probably the best of the 3. Their fixtures 14 out of 30, very good. We know Fulham are a good side. Second on that list is Broja, and he's back. He's only played 36 minutes of Premier League football, so will definitely take him a while. Very little XGI to look at, but what can you do? I think Broja could get some starts. He's now note he is suspended, ineligible to play against the parent club for game week 17. So definitely can't play game week 17, but maybe might get 1 start over the next while. I think GCL has been looking lethargic, not much going forward for Everton. They have had some hard fixtures, but I think Broja will be given a chance at some stage. Maybe 1 fixture, being very generous, 2 fixtures over the next 6, but playing well, he has the ability to get in there full time as well. Again, DCL always going to be challenging. And then our 1 week punt, who, again, I don't even know will start, but looking at Ipswich's squad, Delap is suspended, Hurst is injured, The last striker on the list is Al Hamadi. And again, the reason I put him down is because he's the only other striker. Now, he's only had very little cameo appearances, averaging 11 minutes, 0 starts, gets 9 minutes, 1 minute. He is a very low level pick, and I don't know if he will start. And even if he does, how long will he play? But if we want to go for a striker that might get the start, he could be one. Now, Hutchinson is the other option. If he doesn't start and decides I will need someone else up top, Hutchinson could be that man, and that's why I have him down in the punts. Al Hamadi, the last striker for Ipswich. That sounds like at the title of a book, the last striker for Ipswich. Yeah, we might see a cameo. Maybe in the future he could be getting more minutes, but Delap is always going to be that main man. And finally, on to the listener question section. Thanks as always for sending them in. If you want your question read out, usually the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday before a week, we'll put up a question box on Instagram. So make sure you're following and get them in. Thanks as always to the people that always send them in. There's way more than this, and we can't read them out, unfortunately. We'll try and get back to you in the messages if not. So, starting on the left-hand side, top question. Jota is on my waivers. Is he worth to pick up? And realistically, how much game time will he get? Now, as I said earlier on in the podcast, I picked up Sarr and then swapped him for Jota. Jota came on, got the goal. I think Jota is better than the Luis Diaz's, the Gakpo's, the Darwins, because even if he does get rotated, I'm happy enough to start him if he only gets 30 minutes. His conversion rates for his minutes is very, very good. I think he'll get similar minutes to, let's say, Luis Diaz. But there's a chance that he'll play up top. I like Jota. I do like Jota, but you kind of only have to have that one rogue pick in your team, and usually it's going to be him. He can be a really high upside. We saw at the start of the season how valuable he can get, but beware, because he will bring you on a roller coaster like all them other injury-prone rotation midfielders. So if you're looking to really solidify your team and not looking for a punt that has a really high upside, maybe go for someone a bit more solid. But I really like him. Sell Johnson or Rogers or Eze for Ahmed. So would I swap Johnson or Rogers for Eze or Ahmed? Maybe Ahmed for Rogers. I really like Ahmed lately. I think his underlying stats are very good as well. Yeah, I think if I had to pick two of those, I'd pick Johnson and Ahmed. Okay, Fulkrug, Hoyland, or Duran. I think I'll go Hoyland there because Hoyland is more likely to get consistent starting place. Duran will get you that 1-pointer and then get you that 5 or 6 pointer randomly, but you're going to have to start him no matter what, knowing that he's probably not going to start most games. Fulkrug still is yet to come back into it properly. Yeah, he got, I think, 40 minutes the last day, which was good. 30 to 40 minutes, which shows that he's getting his minutes back into the legs. Duran, we know what he can do when he comes on. So I think it'd be a tougher pick between Fulkrug and Duran. Do you go for a player that could have a potential starting spot all the time, or Duran, who is very effective from the bench? I like the idea of Duran. Sorry, excuse me. I like the idea of Fulkrug because if he's not playing, I can throw him away. Whereas Duran, it's like, oh, do I play him? Do I sell him? I know he's going to score. I don't like players that I can't confirm if they're not going to start. And I know I said that about Jota, that he comes on, but he will start some games. Duran, for the most part, would be a sub for nearly every game apart from a random one. Ismail Sarr or Neto on my waivers. Already have Eze. Yeah, I don't mind a double up even if it's the right player. What difference does it make? I like Sarr over Neto just because he's more nailed. Neto's playing for a way better team, a way better fixtures. It is actually tough, but play it safe. Maybe go for your player that you know is going to bang. If you have a more solid team and you want a high upside, Neto is going to be a really good pick. Both them decent, but again, I would never really be put off by you have a player from that team, unless you've got like 2 or 3 players. If they're the best pick, they're the best pick. Eight Nori, keep or drop. Unfortunately, or Eight Nori has broke our heart. I think I'm going to have to drop him. Banned for this game, still on 4 yellow cards, could be banned when he gets back. Tough run of fixtures, and he's just broken our heart. So feck him. Good luck. Honestly, what on earth do I do with Haaland? Now, if you got first pick, you picked Haaland. You were delighted with it. He's banged at the first couple of games. You're ecstatic. You're in the probably top of the league. I think what you can do with Haaland is one of two things. You can ride it out and kind of believe that he'll get back to his best, or you can trade. And I think the thing with Haaland is that you still need to get an unbelievable amount of value out of him, because at any moment he can go on an absolute rampage. I know he's not playing anywhere near what he could do, but you can't give him away on the cheap, because people will always have the idea that he could go back to his best. Therefore, you can't give away based on what he's doing now. You have to give him away based on what he could do. So unless you're getting a Saka, unless you're getting a Palmer in one of those trades, or maybe even like an Ollie Watkins, as an Isaac, you want to be getting two really, really top level players, or one of those premiums for him. Don't sell him on the cheap. But if you have him, I can understand the frustration. But again, a couple of weeks ago, you would have never dreamed of selling him. Is Rashford a drop in a 10-man league? I think Rashford's a drop in any size league. The comments coming out that he wants to, or has a new challenge or whatever, plus being left out of the squad, I think Rashford is definitely a drop. Saliba and Vardy for Konza and Solanke. I like the Saliba Vardy side because you have two starters that are kind of fixture proof. You start Vardy no matter what, Saliba no matter what. Konza, again, up and down fixtures, and Solanke, obviously a very good pick, but go for the two guaranteed starters in your team no matter what. Hold Nkunku and wait for Jackson's 5 yellows. I think that depends on your other two strikers, or the strikers on the waiver. If there's a player there that you know could get in, maybe that's a better pick. You know, you're waiting for a 1 game week punt. Jackson's form, he's not getting out there unless he gets injured. So you're waiting for a yellow card or an injury, which is not a good place to be in a striker. If there's any striker that even plays 30, 40 minutes each game week, probably better than Kunku, because at least you can know when to start them. Ahmed or Iwobi? I like Iwobi. Sorry, excuse me. I like Ahmed. If I had to pick, I'd like Ahmed. In super form, doesn't seem that he's going to be left out of the team. United looking better going forward. Iwobi been very good, but again, I think I'd like Ahmed myself. And then finally, another easy one, I think, Van Hick or Hall. And you might have seen on Instagram we had to do I did an apology. Last week I said, maybe play 8 Nori over Hall. It was a 17-point swing. If I went back, I'd probably say the same thing. I always liked Hall as a pick, and he's looking very good. Newcastle are looking a bit more solid. They have some good fixtures, and Brighton just cannot keep a clean sheet at home or away. Hall very good going forward. I think it's going to be an easy pick for me, Hall. Watch Van Hecke go and score a header now. But, we can always, it's easy to say after the fact, but I'm sticking with Hall. Boom. Hopefully we got to your question. Hopefully we gave you a good waiver for this week. Hopefully you get the W. If we don't see you, have a good Christmas. FPL Draft Joe out. Boom.